Welcome back, friends. And now we are on the next episode of From the Front Line Duty, Honor, and Courage. Today we have with us Brigadier Ajay Singh Panwar, Vishish Seva Medal. Brigadier Panwar was commissioned in the Rajput Regiment in June 79. He commanded the 2 Rajput, one of the oldest battalions in the Indian Army. He has served in high altitudes in Tawang sector and Batalik sector. He has taken part in CI operations in Assam, in the IPKF in Sri Lanka, and was the brigade major in the sensitive RS Pura sector of Jammu. He has tenanted various important staff appointments and has been an instructor in OTA, NDA, and the Army War College. He is the recipient of the Vishish Seva Medal and also the recipient of the Chief of Army Staff and Geo INC's commendations for gallantry. Brigadier Panwar, we welcome you to this initiative of ours. And now I hand over to you for sharing with us an incident in the northern area. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Ashwani, for giving me this opportunity to share one of the varied experiences one had during one's service life. This particular incident happened when I was the Deputy Brigade Commander in the Batalik sector in the Kargil area. As you all are all aware, that after the Kargil war in 1999, the entire area, which was selectively held earlier on, was manned by both the sides completely, and those jagged, unforgiving heights were manned in small section posts, wherein in a space of say 10 by 10 feet, you had about 10 men sitting over there, eternal vigil to prevent any encroachments or violations or the sanctity of the line of control. Well, this area, heavy snowfall takes place over here, starting off from end September onwards. And there are a number of posts which get cut off. So we do a very deep selection of men over here for manning these posts. But you know how the human system is, no matter what precautions you take, a man is prone to fall ill at any time, sometimes. So the men for these particular posts enter these posts end September, first week of October. And thereafter, these 10 men in their airy perched 10 by 10 feet area, snowbound where snow falls to till about 30 feet, remain cut off from the rest of the world till May next year. And mind you, there have been cases where we have lost people due to weather, and the body remains over there, the side of the post, wrapped inside a sleeping bag. Quite a traumatic experience. And in these altitudes, there are two ailments which are a big dread to any commanding officer. And these are, one is known as HACO, HACO, high altitude cerebral edema, wherein fluid fills up in the brain, and the other is HAPO, HAPO, high altitude pulmonary edema. And it has been seen that when a man falls ill in these altitudes, a common cold can also lead to eventually to these conditions if the man is not treated properly. And one of the most common things for this is to drop the height of the person, that is, he has to be evacuated and taken to lower altitudes. Well, this incident of mine, which I am narrating, happened during the winter months of 2006-2007 in one of the Sikhalai battalion posts at a height of 16,000 plus. Luckily, this post had the facility of evacuation that is by means of a half link, we call it. That is, one party starts from one end, the other party starts from the other end, and they meet in between. That is for any evacuation of casualties or for providing any essential provisions, etc. Now, the commanding officer of this battalion was on leave, and the officiating incumbent was a youngster with just about 10 to 11 years of service. In the night after dinner, I get a call from the battalion saying that one of the soldiers has fallen ill, and one of the most dreaded words was the word vitals, that his vitals are unstable and he requires immediate evacuation. We used to have a battlefield nursing assistant on that post. So as per him, he says if we do not evacuate this man immediately, so there is a chance, there are chances, or not more chances are there that we will lose him by early morning.
Right.
Now, we had heavy snowfall over in these posts for the past 1 week. And when you have heavy snowfall in these areas, the higher headquarters, along in connection with the SASE, with the avalanche monitoring people, a no move order is issued. That is, there will be no moves in these areas due to avalanches and due to blizzard conditions. However, seeing the criticality of the situation, I was in a position where damned if you do and damned if you don't. Therefore, a decision had to be taken. If I referred it to the higher authorities, I knew keep seeing the criticality of time, it would be a little little bit late, little less, and life would be snuffed away. And I must share with you, at that particular time, I was at a stage in my career where I had been approved for the rank of brigadier.
Right.
And I was the list was out. And if I played safe and said, okay, the orders are there, let's play it safe and wait till morning. And in the early first light in the morning, when the weather situation improves, we'll evacuate him, I would have been on safer shores. However, when you serve in such harsh areas over there, a sense of camaraderie is there, bonding is there, and sometimes you have to take calculated risks. You have to throw caution to the winds, and in the overall organizational interest, you have to take some decisions which may subsequently impact adversely on your personal self. But the message which goes down to that particular battalion over there, that no matter what happens, our officers, our commanding officer, our commanders on top have concern for us, and they will always come to our rescue, and they have our back. That's very important. So after mulling over it just for say a few minutes, I gave the decision to go ahead. In the meantime, the battalion had also started their own preparations. Mind you, over there, volunteers, there were no dearth of volunteers for the rescue mission. So 5 men from each side had been prepared in proper snow clothing, and a rendezvous point, a half link, which is fixed over there, which is a point on the ground which both parties know. And the half link was moved. It was, and in blizzard conditions, Ashwani, I can tell you, you can't even see the fingers of your hand sometimes. And the men are roped together. The movement is very slow. It is like a blind man, groping in a dark room. That is exactly what the situation is. And these parties set forth. Now the thing is, in these conditions is that, well, taking a decision, one also has to consider the fact that to save one life, you may be endangering 10 lives. And right. That is one of the reasons also that, such orders are given of no move. But then sometimes situations decry otherwise. So we had some tense moments in the night. At round about midnight, we were constantly monitoring the thing. The links missed each other. They must have, missed each other just by a few feet, but in that storm condition, you don't even come to know. However, luckily, the communication was restored. They met each other. The casualty was evacuated safely, and we got him down just in time. We have uh, we have inflatable decompression chambers over there. He was put into it. He was revived. He was brought down to 9,000 feet, and we managed to save a life. Dawn broke the next day morning, and with another day and another challenge in these very unforgiving and challenging altitudes and weather. So
You
this
know,
was, in short, the
because
experience which we
Anwar,
had.
when listening to you, uh, uh, the conditions and in which these soldiers operate with such harsh conditions, 16, 18,000 feet, where oxygen supply is less, where temperatures go down to minus 10, 20 degrees, and where your evacuation may happen, may not happen. Uh, what goes through even you as a commander to take this decision? What goes through your mind when you have to take such decisions? I know you said we have to back our men, and I agree with you 100% that you have to back the men, and you possibly have to take a decision at that time, even at personal cost. But really speaking, what goes into through your mind when you see or experience something like this?
Well, when the moment you get inducted into these high altitude areas, you go through a phase of acclimatization and training,
Right.
wherein everybody is, not only physically but mentally also tuned in.
Hmm.
Certain SOPs are set, certain instructions are laid down, and the primary thing for any commander and commanding officer, the
Hmm.
endeavor, the foremost prime thing in the mind of a commander is how best can I save this man?
Right.
And notwithstanding anything, all other factors, you make you try and make all out efforts. There are so many things which have to be done. If a chap has to be this snow, like you said, it is not, the snow falls to about 30 feet. It is soft snow. The snow has to be
Hmm.
beaten first. Otherwise, the man will just sink into the snow.
Right.
So then there are crevasses over there. He may fall into it. People are roped together.
Hmm.
So all these actions have to be taken, and this is where uh, the the esprit de corps, the camaraderie, and the izzat of the Paltan comes into place. And
Right.
mind you, in an infantry battalion, it is like an extended family. It is a family.
Hmm.
You are near and dear ones. Most of your productive life you spend in an infantry battalion.
Right.
The officers go out for some exposure, then after some time they leave the battalion. But a Jawan who joins a battalion finally retires from a battalion. For him, it is his home, his earth, his dana pani, everything.
Right.
And that for the izzat of the Paltan, one does everything possible. I mean, there's no stones which are left unturned.
I can I have flown over these heights, and I can flying over them is one thing because we are still safe in the aircraft, but being on the ground from right from September to May, this is going beyond, truly speaking, the call of duty, and this requires tremendous amount of courage, knowing that you are going to be in that bunker 10 feet by 10 feet for so much of time, and possibility, in case you have fallen sick or something has happened, to be the possibility that help may not come. It requires tremendous amount of courage. How do you mentally tune the men and even the officers to come to that level? How do you do that?
Well, as I explained to you, that is the beauty of it. That is that is the motivational levels which are there. And commanders lead by personal example. It is not only Jawans who are there. You will find in these posts there are officers are also there. Young officers are there. And as I told you before, there for these, especially for these cutoff posts, you do a deep selection over there. There's a psychological conditioning which is there. Cabs are prepared, motivated, because it is not only him falling ill. Sometimes you'll find his near and dear ones, his parents. Sometimes they passed away. The guys have not been able to. The only time they know it, that whatever happens to the family also back home, that they will only be able to see whatever is there, good or bad, after May only. That's the only time this man comes out. And that is the forbearance, and that is the thing which the country has to acknowledge and salute all these people who day and night over there. And it is not that you're over there and you're sleeping over there. You're on eternal vigil. There is a duty throughout. And it's not minus 15, 20 degrees. Like you said, the temperature goes to minus 30, 40 degrees. And along with the wind chill factor, it compounds by 7 times. And the man has to be, while doing duty, he has to be properly clad. Otherwise, even if his nose is exposed or one ear is also exposed, the next thing you know, he's got frostbite. It has to be chopped off. And those conditions are so severe. And he's there. There's a machine gun over there. He's manning it. He's on the thing. And in the night, he's got his night vision devices. He's surveying that entire area in front. So that is there. And that's how we train our men to follow a routine over there. Have a set routine. And psychological conditioning and training is a very important part of it.
I really want to send this message, having heard you on this incident and, how the people are trained. I want to just close this by telling the audience who may be watching this, when we talk about duty and when we talk about honor and courage, a duty is not just doing some little job that you have been assigned, but this is what we are talking about: duty with total commitment, dedication, knowing how much danger you are getting exposed to, because you know that it is your country that you are defending, and you are standing on the line so that people at home can sleep in peace. Courage. This is courage in the face not only of the enemy, this is courage in the face of weather, with temperatures dropping down to minus 40 degrees, with snow falling all around you, soft snow, crevices, and you are still doing your duty and still standing the line. Those people who have served in this area, our heart goes out to you, and a big Jai Hind to you. I am going to bring this session to a halt here.
I'll just,
Yes, sure, please.
which another important aspect which I wanted to highlight, since this is a thing which you will be telecasting to the younger audience and all, is the part about decision making. Decisions, first of all, you have to take timely decisions.
Right.
In such, it may be in any scenario, it may be in a management scenario, in such an operational scenario. And decisions sometimes have to be taken in the organizational interest.
Right.
It may be against, that decision may go against your personal interest, your career interests. But you may be faced with situations where you have to take such hard decisions. And my recommendation is that when you're faced with such dharam sankat, as you call it, always take the morally and the conscientiously correct decision. Just remember that, because you have your conscience to live with you for the rest of your life, and you will never go wrong in this aspect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Colonel Panwar. I am closing it now here. Thank you very much for joining us for this session. Jai Hind.